Welcome back. We are into the discussion on the round table here on the program. It all pertains what will be, of course, shaping the discourse much of this week. It pertains the nomination of a deputy governor by Nairobi County, that is Mike Mbuvi Sonko, but there are concerns as to whether he has the constitutional capacity with regards to the charges that he faces in courts of law in the country following the arrest by security authorities over the swindling of more than 350 million Kenya shillings over corruption allegations. Equally, Miguna will be touching down this evening here in Nairobi, and our attention is on the referendum calls in the country, what ODM wants, and in particular, the statements issued yesterday by CIS Senator James Orengo and Alice Wahome, who appears to be standing up to President Uhuru Kenyatta in terms of what she says is not protecting the space that has opened up in 1992 following the multi-party struggle and the elections that followed. Ever since, she said that on behalf of what she says are people who believe in democracy, and the president was seated there during the burial of former Liberation Forefront leader Charles Rubia. And she yesterday said that she fears her arrest might be effected soon. And the gentlemen are on set here on the program, and we'll be talking to them. Fred, Asira, good morning.
Good morning.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Been long.
It's been a while. Yeah, thanks.
You okay?
Yeah.
Thank you. I do appreciate your time. At the Saint Somolo Jr., thank you for coming.
Yes.
How is 2020 so far?
We are doing well. We have started on a good note.
Yes.
And we believe that it is going to be a year of double-double, as they say.
Double-double.
Double-double.
Bao-bao.
Bao-bao.
Okay. And we equally have Lusimba, who is political commentator. I do appreciate your time. Thank you for coming, gentlemen. And it's a good morning that we are having in the country, and especially in Nairobi County. Let's start what happened with what happened yesterday, and this follows, of course, the nomination of a deputy governor by Nairobi County Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko. There are concerns as to whether he has the capacity now that he continues to face charges of corruption in courts of law. Some argue that he was barred from office, accessing office physically, not, of course, his constitutional mandate or undertaking, therefore can exercise it from any other geographical location. In your view, then, how does the nomination perhaps end the months of crisis in Nairobi County with regards to the basic issues that Nairobians are concerned about: bread, butter issues, transport, fixing up the roads, and equally the economy of the richest county in the country, which has been dwindling ever since Sonko came to power?
First of all, I think Sonko is gambling. He's gambling with his fate. And this he has done previously. If you realize that he spent quite a number of his time in office without nominating a deputy governor. And this he did intentionally. Now that situation has come here where he's faced with uncertainties, he wants to take advantage of the seeming lacuna in whatever, in the laws that are there, to try and right wrongs that he did. You see, Sonko was barred from performing the duties of a governor. And of course, nominating a DG is duties of a governor. Yes. Because there are certain parameters that the courts set out that once you are charged, you cannot undertake to avoid governors using their powers to influence the outcome of their cases. So going out of his way to attempt to nominate a DG, I think he's just trying his luck. But as the DPP has hinted, yes, they're going to go to court so that the court can interpret whether that move is legitimate or not. Okay. Yes.
Kennedy, is it perhaps one that seeks to untangle the wrangles in the county, looking at what has been happening over the past few months? And does it perhaps, is it a case of that move prompted by the pressure upon his shoulders with regard to the court cases, and one that has been a sufficiently big blunder that he made in the frustration he created in City Hall, especially in the administration of the capital?
I think, as he said, Sonko is doing what we call vipindre. You know, we said vipindre, vipindi. And he's known for that. He's been doing it for long. Nairobi is currently facing a lot of challenges, from shortage of water supply, sewerage system, and even dilapidated roads. Recently you saw what is happening in Dagoretti. There's a very bad road in Dagoretti, which needs to be fixed. And with the vacuum in the leadership of Nairobi County, Sonko is quite aware that is not allowed constitutionally. There has been debate on whether he has the legal mandate to nominate the deputy governor, which of course, based on the High Court, Court of Appeal ruling,
yes.
Upholding the High Court, ruling on in the case of Olenkulal, it was agreed that the governors are supposed to give way and they're supposed to not to attend to their duties. But the question is, are they supposed to have the legal mandate, or do they do the administrative issues? This is a question that is going to open a legal battle, and the DPP already going to court to seek for interpretation, which we believe the nomination of Anne is not genuine. I think Sonko is just doing it to buy time and to keep people guessing and also discussing on the way forward that is coming ahead. This is politics, and I believe that the court needs to give a constitutional interpretation once and for all, so that we do not face such kind of constitutional crisis, especially in the city of Nairobi. And also, again, Sonko is aware that the Speaker had written to the Attorney General seeking for the adversary, so that they see how they can handle the Nairobi County government. You've also seen a lot of battle at the County Assembly. So Sonko feels that if he's not going to act now, and he's also been barred from accessing his office, he believes that the deputy, the Speaker might take up his role. So it's just buying time and playing politics, which is very unfortunate. But we believe it is going to be sorted, and it is going to be sorted once and for all. Okay,
Lusimba, if I may come to you, there are key issues here which are very significant and very pivotal and sit at the epicenter of all what's transpiring in the richest county in the country. Two key moves. Which side do you, of course, is my question, which side do you take in this particular regard in terms of your analysis? Is this move perhaps one that is on the cusp of restoring order and the immediate easy fix of the problems in Nairobi County, or is it a seeking of a political lifeline by Governor Mike Sonko, who has felt threatened ever since his dramatic arrest in Voi in 2019?
Okay, thank you very much. I can say this Sonko thing is not about to cure whatever is happening in Nairobi or all the issues that's happening in Nairobi. It's all about trying to fix people, to talk about something other than himself. If you want to keep people busy, you keep them with a topic they can talk about instead of talking about yourself. So Sonko knows he has some problems, or he's fixed into some problems, but he doesn't want people of Nairobi to focus on those problems or the mess he has caused in the city. He wants people to focus on something else. So he had to create something, of which he had to nominate Anne Kanalu as the deputy governor, just to shift the attention of the court case and the corruption and graft allegations he is facing to Nairobi deputy governor, so that we, the people of Nairobi and others, can talk about the deputy governor Anne Kanalu instead of the governor who is facing the graft allegation. Yeah.
Okay, Fred Asira.
Allow me to just say something in that context. You see, what people need to understand in the context of the ruling that bars governors from accessing office is the word office. Office in that context does not mean the building. It means the duties that should be undertaken by the governor. If you remember, there was a time that Sonko was afraid that his life was in danger.
Yes.
And he actually ran away from Nairobi, and he would undertake his duties from Machakos. In Moa. And that is where he used to do his work, and nobody ever said that Sonko is not working. So once he has been barred from the office, it is not coming to City Hall, because he can discharge his duties as a governor from wherever he is. So what he needs to understand is that the ruling actually talks about undertaking the duties of a governor, and that includes nominating a DG.
Okay, perhaps then, if I may come to you, Kennedy, will it perhaps, when you look forward in terms of the prophecy here, with regards to the DPP who came out all guns blazing yesterday, does it perhaps end up in court of law, and we see again perhaps the arrest of Sonko in terms of the court which barred him, and equally the two other governors, Samburu and Kiambu County governors, from accessing their offices? In this regard, then some argue it's the physical office, some argue He still has the constitutional mandate that the court hasn't taken away from him. So where do you think this is likely going to be ending up in the corridors of justice?
I think the word accessing office is overrated. I believe when you're told to not to access office, it means that it also includes the functions, the functions that you're supposed to, be doing. For example, chairing the CC or the cabinet meeting, and also discharging other serious duties, and even, including even appointing the deputy governor. It is a serious situation that lawyers argue both sides. They say sometimes, as he's saying, that he's not barred from, executing his duties. At the same time, it is against the bail terms, because if he was told not to access the office, he's also not supposed to appoint the deputy governor. And if the DPP will, as they say that they're going to court to seek for interpretation, if Sonko is found culpable of, misusing the opportunity that he was given, then I think Sonko is going to be arrested, and is also going to be, maybe they're also going to give additional conditions for him in regards to the bail terms. And I think that is what is going to happen in terms of law.
Okay.
Yes.
Lusimba, do you read politics in this? Politics in the essence or in regard that Sonko wants some form of normalcy said to be returning to the county, and politics in his arrest, which some allude to, saying that the arrest was perhaps necessitated or prompted by his support for the political end that is supporting the Deputy President William Ruto, as per the revelations made by Alice Wahome. So in regards to the double politics here, where do you think the real discussion, the real line lies here?
Okay, I can say on the issue of Sonko and the kind of politics is playing, either supporting the Deputy President or the President or Raila Odinga, is with the matters at hand in Nairobi County, which is nominating the Deputy Governor, they do not relate. Sonko is just playing his own politics to remain relevant in whatever is happening. Now he's outside the political life, somehow bad with the arrest and graft allegations. So he has to come in another way to help himself to remain at the helm of politics at Nairobi County. And whatever he's doing in Nairobi by nominating Anne Kananu, just to grasp the leadership, he's feeling that the leadership of Nairobi County is being withdrawn from his hand. You know, there are certain things being done in the city hall, which Sonko, in his absence, he feels that there's some mandate or there's something wrong he did that can be revealed in his absence. So he's trying to put in somebody who can chair or who can oversee whatever he did wrong that cannot be revealed in the future, or cannot be revealed and be added in the next, maybe a court case or another a kind of graft to be revealed.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Fred, if I may come to you. When you look at the instances of corruption in the leadership of the county, you look at the former governor, Evans Kidero, is still facing charges of corruption in court, and some have tipped him as perhaps being the technocrat here, the smart guy who will fix the problems of the city. It never happened. And we had Sonko, who came with some form of a populist politics in the capital. It never worked. The richest county in the country has failed to offer lessons from the top. There seems to be no point with which the other counties can epitomize in terms of the economy and how the city is run. What do you think then, in the next elections, perhaps the next leadership of the county will look like in terms of the package? Because technocracy has failed, equally populist politics has failed. So how do you go about the county? Make it metropole, perhaps, as per the BBI recommendations?
You see, if you look at what pundits opined in the beginning, and we had this discussion a lot of time, there has been this attempt to ensure that Nairobi does not remain a county. And they have always wanted to make it a metropole, or whatever name that they want to give it. And it is almost certain that all these failures are intentional, if I may. However, having said that, in the event that Nairobi County remains as a county going forth in 2022,
okay,
then it will bring a political realignment that it does not necessarily have to be a technocrat or a popular person who can take over, but in essence, it ought to be a consultative kind of leadership that can relate with technocrats and ordinary wananchi in a manner that the two can come together. You see, there's always a battle line between the ordinary Kenyans and the elites in Nairobi.
Okay.
That is why you'll find that ordinary wananchi wants to have hawkers all over, the elites want arrangement. Ordinary wananchi wants border borders to come all over, and elites don't want. There are those of us who want matatu to come all the way. There are those who want matatus to remain, come with their vehicles. So there's that difference between the people who live in Nairobi that needs a leader and a manager who can understand and bring order that can work for both without necessarily using the poor because you know you are going to get votes, populism like Sonko, or try to alienate them the way probably Kidero was doing and such kind of things. So Nairobi just needs a leader and a good manager who can bring order back to this county.
Okay, thank you. Let's now get, before I come to the two other guests here, get a brief biography of the nominated Deputy Governor by Governor Mike Sonko, set to be approved by the County Assembly of Nairobi County, who she is, where she sourced her from, the capacity, what she or the role she is serving at the moment, and Linda is standing by for that to give us an upbeat assessment of the Deputy Governor nominee, Nairobi County.
Thank you so much, Sheikh. While it's not the time to delve deep into who exactly Anne Kananu is, it's equally very important that we look into exactly what she has done and so far, whether she is worth the accreditation for this particular matter. While we might not be sure as it stands whether indeed Nairobi Governor, that is Mike Sonko, is allowed or will be allowed to proceed and actually name her as the Deputy Governor. Of course, Mrs. Mwenda is the current Chief Officer in charge of disaster management and coordination at City Hall, and as captured by the Daily Nation newspaper, of course, a brief take on technically who she is, where she's schooled from, and all that. And of course, the biggest question then would be also a conversation that is still ongoing online and technically amongst all the Nairobians is she the person who's capable to proceed and make changes within the government, the county government? Because then there's been that question as to whether indeed, of course, there's so much that can be done towards addressing the issues in Nairobi County. So a brief history of Mrs. Anne Kananu, as captured right here. Mrs. Mwenda was born in Embu County in May 1980. She attended St. Michael Primary School from class 1 to 8 before joining Our Lady of Mercy Girls, Nangodu, where she sat her Kenyan Certificate of Secondary Education in 1999, and she worked as a personal assistant at H. Mugambi and co-advocates between 2003 and 2004. She then worked as a security supervisor in charge of quality control and training at Kenya Airports Authority before joining City Hall as chief officer in charge of disaster management and coordination in May 2019, up to date in acting capacity. And she holds a Bachelor of Science in Criminology and Security Management, Forensic and Criminal Investigations from Dedan Kimathi University. Of course, that will always be a question that pops up in regards to whether indeed an individual is credible enough to proceed and take up a certain challenge or a certain seat. And as it is, of course, it is left for the people of Nairobi to judge and say whether indeed she would be the best person to deputize, of course, that is Governor Mike Sonko. And moving forward, whether indeed we're going to root ourselves out of the constitutional crisis that we are facing as the people of Nairobi. And this is, of course, something that is faced by numerous other counties in regards to, of course, what next in the event that the governor has exited the stage and there is no deputy. Of course, for the longest of time, since 2019 January, we've not had a deputy. Hence, maybe the reason why most of the people are carrying out foul, saying that this is just by a move by Sonko that is not technically genuine towards addressing the issues of the people of Nairobi. So while we might actually politic around this, it's equally important to look into the figure that is in question, that is Anne Kananu Mwenda, and observe deeply in trying to understand whether indeed she is good enough to hold the deputy governor's office right here in Nairobi. I throw it back to Ayub to proceed with the discussion and equally ask the very same or pose the very same question to the panel on board in regards to the credibility of Anne Kananu Mwenda. Ayub.
The EBO panel here on set before we also take a look at or focus our attention on the one-time nominated Deputy Governor Nairobi County, but flat-out rejection from him. Miguna is set to be touching down this evening at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. For now, though, we are joined by Cyrus Litswa, political commentator at the Violet Mbithe Foundation. Thank you, Cyrus. Good morning.
Morning.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Is this the first Monday of 2020?
Yes, it is.
2020,
No, it's not first Monday, first Tuesday.
First Tuesday
Yes.
of 2020.
2020.
Okay, thank you. Good morning.
Yes.
What's your take on this? Perhaps is it a sort of a convoluted take by the governor, Nairobi County, to reset the political application of the county that is in deep hole at the moment?
Thank you. Looking at the scenarios, and I remember I said sometimes back, Sonko will face a bigger hurdle because the ruling by the judge that any governor who is faced or any public officer who is facing economic crimes issues will not be able to access the office. Okay, this is a ruling that has been set. And when Governor Leno Kulal of Samburu tried to reshuffle his office, you saw what happened. The DPP came brazen, saying that he will review the bail terms of the governor. Okay, then it made the governor retreat back and look into it. So it's not a special case for Sonko. Sonko is supposed to stay out of office, whereby it means he's not supposed to carry out any operations of the office as the governor. Fine. We have a crisis in Nairobi whereby we didn't have a deputy governor, but it is appointing the deputy governor at a wrong time when he's not even supposed to appoint the deputy governor. One, how is the deputy governor supposed to go through the scrutiny of the county assembly, which also has some issues with the speaker, okay, at the moment. Now, what we are looking into is that the credibility of the same governor to come and appoint the deputy governor when he has an issue with the court and the DPP. So the DPP, what is going to do right now is to pursue and stop Sonko from appointing the deputy governor because it is not within his jurisdiction at the moment.
Okay, we now turn our attention to the other element which has been equally important and developing. And the one point, whether we can have that up on air, I'm sure Shadrach will be on the screen to give us that cartoon edition of Miguna as depicted in today's Daily Nation edition. And it is very fascinating because the capture equally interprets another function. Yes, there we go. He's free to return with no drama. That is the condition. And look at the people who are set to welcome him at the red carpet. Twitter and Facebook users, no depiction of human there. And this is, of course, the support that perhaps he commands across the social media platforms. The second coming of Dr. Miguna, the self-declared general of the National Resistance Movement. And this follows, of course, the dramatic deportation by the security agencies after he presided over the ceremony in which Raila Odinga was sworn in as the people's president. And this, of course, concerns a lot because I want to read just a tweet that he managed to incorporate before he left Canada en route to Kenya, but passed by Europe. And just looking for that tweet. Here we go. He says the Building Bridges initiative unites despots to perpetuate impunity. BBI unites cartels to enhance their looting power. The BBI unites privileged dynasties to mutilate the Kenyan constitution, cling to power and brutalize Kenyans. BBI fortifies thieves. BBI is the enemy of the people. Hashtag reject BBI revolution. Now, Kennedy, if I may come to you, is he perhaps coming with the notion and presumably the belief that he can take over the void at the moment of the opposition in the country and lead Kenya?
I think that is maybe what Kenyans, think. But, I like the headline because they're saying that it's the second coming of Miguna. It's as if, people are anxious and waiting for a savior to come and give directions. And I believe, according to the cartoon, is that, Miguna is a very funny person. He has a big, fan base on social media. And, Kenyans are very funny people. They are, looking for entertainment. Some of these things that Miguna writes on social media are meant for sometimes Kenyans get entertained and they feel that it is high time that Miguna is coming to reveal some few things that happened when during the swearing in of the people's president, and maybe is also coming in to deal with the despots, as he says. But it is going to be an interesting time because as much as Miguna is coming, there's also a caveat. Actually, the government spokesperson has said that he must have all the required documents, just like any other Kenyans who are coming in. And we are yet to see the drama at the airport because Miguna is a Kenyan, and the Constitution allows him to be in this country and also to participate just like a Kenyan.
Well, why do you think if he's a Kenyan, then he was meant to go through all the unnecessary tribulations ever since 2018?
It was political. It was political that was meant to divert the attention on the real issues that happened during the swearing in. And there's a discussion that has been there for long that people do not understand. And sometimes it has also been penned on the book that was written down by my party leader, Musalia Mudavadi. And he said what happened, what transpired. And it's something that we are yet to see. If indeed Miguna comes, then we want to hear from him the real story, what happens prior and even after, the swearing in. Something that we're waiting for. But we believe that if he comes, I believe there's no vacuum in the opposition. And maybe if he's just coming, he's just going to cause drama, and we're yet to see what is going to happen.
Okay, Lusima, what's your take then here? He has a self-model himself as the person who speaks for the common Mwananchi. He has been on the forefront in terms of the rejection of the Building Bridges report. He said it is perhaps the coming together of the political elite to continue or perpetuate their grip on power in the country. He has constantly been accusing and attacking the ODM leader Raila Odinga, who he swore him in Uhuru Park in 2018. Does he come at a time when he seemed to be the person who might take over the vacuum and be the leading voice in what he says is a revolution that Kenya needs at the moment?
Yes, I can say there's some truth in whatever Miguna is saying, and it's true that these people, the dynasties, are coming together to loot and to disfranchise the normal Mwananchi, who is us. And it's true revolutionary. Yes, I can subscribe to his theories of revolution. And whatever is coming to do, or when is coming today, it's in limbo. We don't know exactly what is, because him himself also, before, like 2 days ago, he was anticipating maybe there will be some drama in when he will be touching down today. But when the government clarified that he will be free to touch down without any drama, then he started to tweet and do some Facebook posts about the second liberation, or the third liberation of Kenya. He always talks about the third liberation. He said the first liberation was when Kenya got independent. The second liberation was the multi-party. The third liberation is now pro-people. But there's no vacuum when you associate him with the opposition. There's no vacuum in opposition. There's an opposition leader. So when he comes to be the opposition, he will come to join the other opposition leaders who are there. We can see there's no serious opposition in Kenya, maybe, but there's opposition everywhere within the party themselves. Jubilee has opposition in itself. ODM has opposition in itself. So there are various branches or structures of opposition. Maybe what he can do is to come and arrange all this, the opposing Jubilee members, the opposing ODM members, the opposing ANC members, and then maybe form another political group of opposition.
Okay. Fred, if I may come to you, the government, why do you think that there is this easy access of Miguna and perhaps the facilitation of his return? We have seen the Immigration Department issue a statement yesterday, but the government spokesperson, Colonel Cyrus Oguna, said that Miguna, like any other Kenyan, must have all the requisite documentation when he lands in the country. Why do you think the government has changed tune and from the frustration vis-a-vis that it, of course, managed to show the world where Kenya's reputation at one point was at stake with regards to a drama that happened at the JKI, which is a first-class international airport, as per, of course, the recommendations by the aviation authorities across the globe. And why do you think there is this change in tune, tact, and sort of expression by the government, especially when the head of state says everyone is free to return to the country?
You see, when Miguna was undergoing all these tribulations, I remember vividly, we were among the people who were shouting and demanding from the government to ensure that they allow him to remain in Kenya because he is a Kenyan by birth. Fast forward to today, I'm even shocked that I'm discussing Miguna because currently to me he's a non-issue, very non-issue. He just remains a keyboard warrior or a social media influencer to me. His coming back should be treated with the quietness that it deserves. But unfortunately, that will not happen because currently he's aligned to a political leaning of Tanga. So I'm sure,
Are you sure?
With the monies that Tanga has, they will marshal some muscles and ensure that there's going to be a crowd to tell us that Miguna is this big person who is coming with these big ideas and strategies, which is nothing. So we'll give Miguna a week, like any other issue in Kenya, then he will die down. He will fizzle out like the non-issue that he is.
Okay, Cyrus, what's your take?
Miguna, as a Kenyan, he has a right to come, fine. And when he talks of revolution, first of all, you need to look at how is he bringing it out? Then who are the people is associating himself with? And how are they going to champion the revolution thing that he's talking about? Now, when we talk of association, I can say lightly, on a lighter note, that the other people are the ones who are trying to associate themselves with the Miguna. And Miguna is not associating themselves with them. But they are trying just to create, because they are saying like, you see, they are the same people who said Miguna should leave the country. They are the same people who are throwing stones at Miguna when Miguna was on the other side of the politic. And remember, Miguna has just maintained his style of talking and throwing tantrums and tweeting and Facebooking. Miguna himself, looking when they first worked with Raila in 2007, 2008, yes. They came and differed somewhere. They had a misunderstanding. So it's not the first time Miguna is having a misunderstanding with Raila Odinga. It is a common thing. It's a common phenomenon with the Miguna having a difference with Raila Odinga. Maybe there are some things that he has always desired to see or to get from Raila Odinga, which have never materialized or which have never come true. So these are maybe some of the pains that pain him to death, that he decides now, let me come out gun blazing to shout out to the people who this man is, which somehow to the true followers of Raila and the true followers of maybe of opposition may not buy the idea, because they see he first did the same. Okay. Then he went, I remember he went to Kisumu, and I remember he was given a test of his medicine for deassociating himself with the Baba. So for Miguna saying that he's coming to chant on the opposition side, first of all, I can say with the constitution that we have right now, we only have the leader of majority and leader of minority in parliament, which their role is very simple, to oversight. We don't have a space for opposition. Okay. Maybe the people we can have, let me say, these are activists who can now come up and talk about the problems that we are facing. But the space of opposition, as it was before, looking like the times of Kanu and during those times, before the 2010 constitution,
Okay.
we had a clear definition of opposition and the ruling party. But
Okay.
right now, what we have is the leader of majority and leader of minority in the parliament.
Okay.
So we don't have a space for opposition.
That is in the National Assembly.
Yeah.
Kennedy, let's now turn our attention, gentlemen, to the other important story, which of course transpired yesterday, and it regards the statement or the press issued yesterday by Senator James Orengo, close confidant of the opposition chief Raila Odinga, and he talked about the referendum debate in the country, saying that it must materialize by June, that is or June, July, not later than that, according to the CI senator who talked to journalists yesterday here in Nairobi County. And this is what the paper is saying upon air, Madam Director. And it regards the plebiscite issue here, and who Raila allies a bit on the referendum debate. DPT William Ruto, that is the Tanga faction of the ruling Jubilee Party, is wary and concerned about that. And this, of course, has been shaping up in the country. Alongside CI Senator is Samongeri, the senator Kisii County, where the Building Bridges initiative is set to conduct its first sittings ever since the term extension by the president and the opposition chief following the colorful launching of its report on Wednesday, day 26th of November 2019. Kennedy, if I may come to you, your party leader has had reservations about the entire coming together of the Odinga-Kenyatta bromance, literally, in March 2018. And in your view, then, with regards to ODM, which feels as the party that is aggrieved here in terms of its needs, not as captured as it wanted to be in the report, is it perhaps a coming together of two gentlemen who want to rewrite political history as part of the political elite in the country?
Yes, as you said, my party leader has been, questioning what transpired and how, the two leaders came together, even though we support the fact that it brought peace in this country. But it was not structured to the extent that there's no law supporting it, compared to, what happened during the former coalition government. And indeed, Kenyans had expectations in regards to BBI, and we thought that is a document that is going to, bring a new life into what people have been discussing in this country. But we've come to realize that it is not the silver bullet that people are expecting. Mm-hmm. And during the launch, you remember that apart from the national ethos, there were a lot of proposals in regards to the structure of government, which the ODM people felt that the position of the Prime Minister is not strong enough, and with the kind of remuneration that they are proposing, mm-hmm. is not going to, make sense in the next coming government. So the two gentlemen are just coming to maintain the status quo. What now you are saying that Miguna is talking about, the dynasties, mm-hmm. coming together to maintain and also to structure the leadership to remain the way it's supposed to be. And the BBI is just against one person, or maybe some few people who are not supposed to ascend, who are not supposed to ascend to power. I'll not mention names, mm-hmm. but I believe...
The DP William Ruto?
That is according to you, but I'm saying it's just against some few people. And, what we are really facing a lot of challenges as a country, from the national debt, unemployment, a lot of issues. And when somebody like Senator Orengo coming to tell us that there's a referendum in July, that is a joke. Those are political stories. Those are political gimmicks, okay. that we don't buy, because where are we going to get the budget to run a referendum?
That's about 10 billion.
Yes, of course. And then again, do we have a question? I think the problem here is the terms of engagement. These people have realized that what they wanted in this BBI is not what came out. Okay. And they believe that maybe they were shortchanged.
Okay. You mean their needs were never met or captured?
Of course.
Okay. Hold it there. Fred, I'll come to you. Let me first of all seek the sentiments of Lusimba here. Why do you think, or what do you think has prompted or necessitated Orengo to issue a presser and perhaps give an ultimatum that beyond the 7th month of 2020, then we are likely going to be having a referendum in Kenya?
Okay, one, I'll start by saying there is some political silence within the ODM party, or the opposition, as it calls itself, from maybe whatever they were doing in the past government, they were doing the opposition, and they were talking all the time. All the time they were in the media describing how the government is not doing what and what. But now they are in the same bed with the government, and now they have to have a talking point on what it can keep them within the political powers or the political talking or the political ground. So he has to come up with something that can keep them with the ODM party as a talking point, or to see themselves as relevant within the political grounds of Kenya. So that's why he's saying he's pushing for the constitution. You know, when they push for the constitution to happen, they have a ground now to campaign and popularize themselves. But without the constitution or without the referendum, they have nothing to talk about, and that's how they see themselves. They're being phased out, pole out of the political ground.
Okay, that's according to your, of course, sentiments that you have expressed. Fred, I'm coming to you equally, and Cyrus here, because there is equally the important element of the ODM party here, seeking again yet another demand, or putting forth what they say is a demand that must be met before July 2020. It follows the press yesterday issued by the Siaya Senator James Orengo, a close confidant in the inner circle of the opposition chief Raila Odinga here in the country. In the last segment of the program, after finishing up with that, we'll be talking about Alice Wahome, how her sentiments are causing awe, prompting the mountain to rumble as central Kenya sees a future without President Uhuru Kenyatta post-2022 as a bleak one politically. After the short break, Linda will be up next with a traffic update, and the number is 0791-478-990. The hashtag on Twitter is NewDayKE. The short SMS code is 40920. Stay tuned. We're coming back after the short break.
Yes, well, Ayub had already taken you through what is happening with the roads. There's some developments that we are here to update you on, not so much so, but sadly there's an accident at the junction of State House Road and Valley Road involving a double M bus that's still on the same. An accident at the junction of Kenyatta Avenue and State House Road. As you can see, there goes, of course, the photo. We'll be following up on this, update you in the event that there are casualties or fatalities on the same. Pretty much unfortunate. It's always advisable that you're cautious on the road, especially at this particular time when, you know, systems are going back to normalcy, or the roads are going back to normalcy now that people are going back to the office and students are going back to school, and the roads are as busy as has been. And of course, just a bit of other roads. Waiyaki Way is packed Kamakawa, meanwhile in a makeshift restaurant. Of course, some interesting, you know, was right there in regards to what is being served at this particular restaurant. And Thagari, well, in what one would claim as Thagari, depending on how you view it, parking attendants in Thika Town are using all manner of tricks to rob by clamping cars, claiming irregular parking. They place some movable signs post once you park your vehicle. It's important that you understand your rights and all that, so that we all avoid this situation whereby one would view this as Thagari, while the others, of course, who are, you know, sort of on duty would look at it as though they are just simply performing the duties that they are, of course, supposed to. Huko Jericho Bahati kimeshikana, that should be somewhere in Ngong Road, in Jogoo Road, sorry. Sisi immigrants ndio wengi, and of course bado South Sea wako chini ya maji. New Year, same flooding, pretty much unfortunate. Yes, it has rained in some of the parts of Nairobi this morning, and Kiambu Road leo ni kunumare, as you can see at Arnold_Afuya is the one who's updating us on the same. It's important that we, of course, are updated. So if you're stepping out right now, you know very well what to expect. Jump starts a drive in Pakatao, that is Thika Road. Pish Maish is the one who's updating us on the same. Thika Road approaching Muthaiga, it is terribly jammed up. Yes, Nairobians, you need to brace yourselves. You know very well that it's that time where, of course, things are going back to normalcy. So in the event that you want to step out of the house, make sure that you step out as early as possible, so that you're not gotten flat-footed, or you're not found flat-footed in regards to the same. So much so, tough times across the roads of Nairobi, especially because of the rains also that have, of course, have dealt some bit or some parts of the city. In the event that something else also comes in, we'll be right here to update you over the same. But most importantly, a continuation of the discussion, and the gentlemen are all set with Ayub, and of course in regards to the politics of the country, and not forgetting the lady that is Kandara Member of Parliament, Wahome. and her utterances over the weekend that have spurred lots of political outrage across, of course, different divides. And that is technically what, of course, we're about to discuss right now. So I'll throw it back to Ayub so that they can proceed with the discussion and, you know, sort of just get this wisdom from the panelists in regards to what way forward on matters of politics and more so on the Mount Kenya region. Ayub.
Thank you, Linda. And we are into the discussion that was, of course, effected following the debate on the referendum yesterday in the press issued by Senator James Orengo. And I was finishing up on Lusimba and was coming to Fred before we hit the break. Yes, Fred, you had some reservations about the comment expressed by Kennedy.
I have several reservations.
Yes,
one,
go ahead, please.
Responding to my friend here, there is a notion and a fallacy that has been perpetuated that the ODM was shortchanged when the BBI was launched. It is a fallacy. It is a notion that has been ridden on by people who have their own interests. Because if you see, once the document was launched, it was supposed to initiate a conversation. And the conversation is currently ongoing. The BBI process has not ended. So for anyone to lie to Kenyans that the ODM was shortchanged, it's a lie.
Okay.
Two, it is even a bigger lie for my friend to assume that the ODM, the largest party in Kenya as we currently are talking, is going to use BBI to get lifeline. I mean, whether there is BBI or not, the ODM is still conducting itself as the only party that we have. Jubilee is behaving like a coalition of parties where you don't know who is the party leader and who is the deputy party. There are factions within the party. So we do not, as ODM, need the BBI to have a lifeline. We can continue the way we are. Now, to the presser that minority Senate leader issued yesterday, if you listen carefully to the remarks of Senator Orengo, he did not put an ultimatum. What the good Senator Osia said is that if there is a need for a referendum as proposed by the BBI, if it will be proposed, then the timeline that he gave is that should not go beyond June, July. Because if then it goes beyond that, it is going to interfere with, of course, 2021 elections, general elections. So he was giving advice, not issuing ultimatums. So it is wrong for people to come and start saying that Raila's people want a referendum by June, July. Those are sensational newsmakers and sensational politicians who are taking this opportunity to sensationalize the nation.
Okay, yes, please respond.
I think it's just fair for us to, remind ourselves that Raila has been on record, advocating for three-tier system of government. Proposing the governors. We have regional governments. He's also been advocating for the creation of a prime minister, an inclusive government, because that is what he meant. An inclusive government means that we need positions so that other tribes are also involved in governance. And Orengo speaking yesterday, he was very categorical and even confirmed that there is going to be a referendum by July. He said it, and is on record. And that is why, as Kenyans, we cannot be fooled, because this is an initiative of Raila Amolo Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta after the handshake, just to bring Kenyans together. At the same time, having proposals based on the 9 agenda that the BBI was supposed to come out with. If you look at the mood during the launch of BBI, of the ODM party, as you look at the mood of the bombers of Kenya.
Setups or bombers?
Bombers.
Okay.
They were not happy.
We were very happy.
No, they were not happy. They were not happy.
Photos. We were very happy. We were very happy.
They were not happy.
And you could see.
They were shortchanged.
By who?
The expectations of ODM party was not met.
Why do you feel they have been shortchanged?
Yeah, because, you know, you look at how the position of the Prime Minister has been watered down.
Okay, but
you have to be elected. Just imagine Raila going back to Kibra to be elected as a member of parliament.
ODM members of parliament have been very categorical. They wanted a form, the parliamentary system of governance, but that was never the position of the former Prime Minister, the party leader. Therefore, it means that what's captured in the report are the views of Kenyans, and as indicated in the report by the Building Bridges Task Force, not that of Raila Odinga or the president.
Then if it is the view of Kenya, why now bring it at the second stage? Why do we need it?
The point was this was a report, not a bill.
Of course.
Isn't it?
Yes, of
and
course.
And it was subject to be rechecked.
And why are they starting with Nyanza? Why can't they go back, starting with the central?
No, listen,
and even Northeastern to discuss?
Starting in Kisii County.
Of course, that is Nyanza.
I want to clarify that.
Kakamega is not in Nyanza.
I want to clarify that. You see, the consultative meeting that is supposed to take place on Friday
in Kisii County
is an initiative by the governors themselves from Nyanza region. It has nothing to do with the BBI. They have come together to discuss as a people the BBI. The BBI itself has not taken itself to Nyanza.
Where are they going to give their views?
Okay.
They are discussing matters BBI as governors from Nyanza. Governors from Western will hold theirs on 18th of January.
In Buhungu.
In Buhungu. And any other caucus of governors who want, even if you want to marshal yours inside Musalia's place, you are allowed. You see, these are free country, these are free nation.
Okay.
People are allowed to come together and discuss issues.
Okay, and to be fair to Fred, to be fair to Kennedy, this was an initiative. The governors are also planning on the funding and how they will cater for the finances.
Because they are not happy.
The event. We'll come because your party leader has had conservation about the entire coming together, but he has failed ever since that to tell us where he was during the swearing-in ceremony of Raila Odinga. Just 3 days before that, in Vihiga County, he said, "Lazima kule kiapo," and he was nowhere to be seen.
And then he's also explained himself.
Yes, Cyrus.
The BBI issue, we've always taken it wrong. When we look at the BBI itself, it's not a bad document, per se, because it addresses some issues of concern. And when we talk of a referendum, we are looking at some of the things like anything that touches the Constitution has to lead to the referendum. Like looking at the health committee, I think, that's supposed to be created. This touches something.
Health Service Commission.
Yes, touches to the Constitution. So this instigates a referendum. And now, when we talk of Health Service Commission, you see, we need to create this commission. What are the responsibilities and the mandates for this Health Service Commission? We need to look into that seriously, okay? Now, when we talk of the Prime Minister position and these other positions, we need to look at it. How are they going to be brought into the Constitution so that it can fit the common humanity? There's some other things that also we are looking at. If the BBI, and I've always said, if the BBI was not left to the politicians, this thing could go so much well. But it has been left to politicians, and it has made each and every Kenyan believe that BBI is all about positions and not serving Kenyans. But if we can sit down and look into some aspects of BBI and ask ourselves, how is it going to improve our economy? How is it going to create job opportunities? How is it going to open up the space for the youth to ensure that they are absorbed in the employment opportunities in the country, so that they can be able to generate revenue to the country? Look at it right now. When I was looking at the newspaper today, the KRA are planning to tax the small...
The grocery shops.
The grocery shops. This is a danger that we need to look into. It is affecting our economy. This means the country has no money. The sources of revenue have declined. Now, we are looking up to Mamamboga in order to tax Mamamboga. Which mechanisms are going to be put in place to tax this Mamamboga? So these are some of the questions that we need to ask ourselves when we sit down and interrogate the BBI thing. When it's going to come back to the people. These are some of the things that we need to raise, and not just look at the positions from the individual perspective. We get lost when we centralize BBI by when we ask, especially we youth, we say it is centered blocking some individuals from power. It is a wrong perspective that we are creating around ourselves. Let us interrogate the BBI. Let us go back to it. Let us share our views. Let us present our views that this is what we need in the BBI. Let us communicate to the BBI. And if it won't get to our concerns and our desires, then we are free to say it was an individual person. But right now, it's a document, it's a paper, it's not a bill.
Okay, hold on, Kennedy. Let me go to Lusimba, your comments on that. On the issue about the ODM feeling aggrieved, as per Kennedy and Fred's discussion on how that, and whether the BBI General is going to be addressing issues that have been ailing the country politically, socially, and economically.
Okay, BBI, from when it was initiated, it was to solve the problems Kenyans are facing from the previous 2010 constitution. Yes, there are some lacunas, there are some things the previous constitution cannot solve, or it was not inside that constitution. So BBI, when it was first came in mind with the proponents of BBI, it was to be pro-people. But now it was shortchanged and overtaken by politicians. Whenever politics is entered, whenever politics enters anything, it becomes spoiled. Now people take sides. We are taking sides on BBI because of the people we follow or the people we see as they will interpret the BBI on our behalf. Our majority of Kenyans did not read the BBI or do not read the BBI. They are waiting. The ODM members are waiting for Baba to interpret.
All right.
The Jubilee members are waiting for Uhuru to interpret or Ruto. The ANC members are waiting for Mudavadi to interpret. So the core issues touching the Wanjikus, we are not interested with that. We are interested with who is getting what and what is getting what because of the being politicizing of this BBI thing.
Okay. All about individualization and how they pretty much sit at the center of the political establishment in the country. Let's now turn our attention to Central Kenya, which seems to be a central point and a jewel in the crown of Kenyan politics. And Alice Wahome appears to be the person standing up to the president on 30 December 2019. She said President Uhuru Kenyatta's government must protect the political space in the country, the freedom of expression, gathering, and association. She was speaking during the burial of Charles Rubia, who was at the battlefront for multi-party democracy in the country. And later on, she accused the president and the opposition chief, Raila Odinga, in a press she issued in Nairobi County. This is what she had to say.
Raila Odinga is his new political machinery for hire. And the BBI itself, the BBI process, the BBI report as expected, the BBI is the special purpose vehicle, heading to the route that has been suggested by Murathe, Atwori, and Bev.
Okay, that is the press she issued. Of course, on equal measures, she received praise and condemnation. The Sunday edition last weekend of the Daily Nation depicted her as this. The picture we have on your screens is how she was depicted. Uhuru, no longer Uhuru Tosha, Uhuru Toka. The S is substituted by K. Today's edition of the Daily Nation depicts Alice Wahome as looking like this. And it's all about pointing the finger of blame at President Uhuru Kenyatta, who is supporting Raila Odinga by his arm, holding up the Moi-like, of course, stick by his hand. And she is doing all that while she is being lifted up by the Deputy President, William Ruto, all about the association that she has with the second man in command in the country. That is the Kandara Member of Parliament, Alice Wahome, who was in Nairobi County yesterday. She was said to be issuing a presser in her constituency, and conflict did break out. Fred, coming to you first. Speaking truth to power or poison chalice?
Poison chalice. I think if you listen to the statement, the small tidbit that you have there, I mean, who in this country will call Raila a hired mercenary? Unless I only know one person who can do that confidently. So probably she was being puppeteered by that individual to utter some of these utterances.
You're all shouting the names of the individuals in secrecy. I don't know.
I usually don't struggle. I usually don't struggle, but there's a time when you
Well, he did it on international TV, calling
yes.
the people of Nyanza militia.
Yeah, so it is not a lie, or we cannot hide that Wahome is speaking on behalf of the Deputy President and Team Tangatanga at large. But having said that, it is very regrettable when leaders, especially elected ones, go out and instead of speaking to power, as you rightfully put it, they instead degenerate to insults, name calling, and such kind of things. You can disagree with a leader or leaders, but you have to do it in decorum, with a lot of decorum. When you attack the presidency, you are not attacking the president. You are attacking the sovereignty of a nation.
An institution.
That's an institution that every Kenyan looks up to. If Alice Wahome has issues with Uhuru as an individual, she knows how to communicate that. These are people who meet or find each other. She does not need to come to the national television to throw salvos and such kind of unprintables and expect Kenyans to clap. Of course, there are Kenyans who will clap, the ones who sent her. Now, going forth, is Uhuru the best thing that ever happened to us? We all know he wasn't. And we told them, that this is not the right person. But they forced Uhuru on us. Now it has dawned on them, and I am shocked. I can tell you that to see Mount Kenya, now they are the ones who are saying they have, in fact, christened Uhuru to be the Lord of Poverty right now. If you remember the Lord of Poverty. But it is only not coming out clearly because they refuse to listen. And it is the same mistake they are going to do if they use someone to try and punish Uhuru and Raila in 2022. We will be back here on the round table crying, revisiting and reviewing the same things, that the mistakes that people are doing now.
Okay, Cyrus, if I may come to you, Alice Wahome, political marriage of convenience.
First of all, I have to say that, the speech by Wahome is just a show that there's a serious division in the Jubilee Party. And if you look at the history of this country, there's a lot of political dishonesty, that you come together just for a purpose, just briefly, then that coalition does not last. I believe the same thing that is happening in Jubilee is the same thing that is happening in NASA, where the ODM people ran away with our money, which we are supposed to get as coalition partners. And we forget very fast that, Wahome has a right to express herself as a politician and as a leader, because I think if the president is serious with unity of Kenyans, then he's supposed to call all the members of parliament from central Kenya under the PG. And he's supposed now, of course, maybe on issues of development, but on issues of coalition and partnership. Remember, during the eve of 2020, there was an allegation that there's a tweet that was written by a deputy president, which was later deleted. And you look at the kind of frustration that is there with certain members in the Jubilee Party that is being expressed by Wahome, which of course is maybe we can sweep them under the carpet. But it is a serious issue because they believe that they have been sidelined. Raila coming back to the Jubilee Party does not mean that Raila is edging them out. But if you look at how they're being frustrated, the way President is addressing the nation, the central people, when he's hungry, he's telling them that he's the president, he knows what will happen, they feel that they are not assured, what they come up with under the coalition, what the promises that the president made to Ruto, that is going to rule for 10 years and he will give back to Ruto, is not happening. The president is very silent about it, and they feel that they are frustrated. They feel that now Raila is coming to take over, and there's a lot of short change in this Jubilee government. So I feel that Wahome is just right. It's high time that as a country, we need to be honest going forward. on the coalition agreement, on the pacts that we do, so that we know exactly what is happening come next.
Okay, Lusimba, your views on that?
Okay, my views is that Alice Wahome is saying the truth. For once, someone from Mount Kenya has stood on ground and said the truth. But also, whatever Alice Wahome is talking about is not real. There is somewhere in that audio, in that video, he's saying Uhuru, about Uhuru being the stumbling block on democracy and development of Kenya. But in real sense, Alice Wahome is talking on his own behalf of his own development and political progress. If you see in that audio, in that video, yes, there is some stumbling block or there is some economic downfall in Kenya that is happening, but he's talking on behalf of someone. Keenly, if you view the video, he's talking on behalf of someone. And this person is trying to cling on him so that maybe he can inherit the political queenship in this sense.
Okay, that's fine. Coming to you, Fred, if we may unpack the general essence of the impact it may have in terms of the expansive view here with regards to Alice Wahome's statement and the rumbling mountain in central Kenya region. Again, there is a frustration as to who will fill the boots of the president. In the event he exits the scene, he has to exit the presidency. We don't know whether he has to exit the political scene. And post-2022, there are frustrations as to a man as charismatic as the president, as sellable as him, who can take over the mantle of the community. Does Alice Wahome represent the sort of the uncertain leaders in central Kenya who not only are championing William Ruto's presidential quest, but also that of central Kenya that is not seeing a political future that is of prosperity without Uhuru Kenyatta in the picture post-2022?
If you look at previous instances and occurrences, it has always been that once Kenyan president exits the scene, they fizzle out. That happened to Daniel Arap Moi, it happened to Kibaki. And there is a highly likely chance, and that is why you see all the bravados going around, people assuming that that Uhuru Kenyatta is a lame duck president, that going forth his input into the political scene in Kenya will either be inconsequential or too little to notice. And now, that brings fear to the mountain, because currently they do not have a uniting factor, someone who can speak on their behalf or someone who can spearhead and or bargain on behalf of the mountain. So there's a danger, and the danger is they either return the favor to the deputy president and be left at the mercy of what he's going to do, because he's also one person, if you look at him consistently, he's never consistent with his promises. And that has come out so clearly that people know that you will promise, but you will not deliver. So the mountain is afraid of that. They do not know what he might do. Also, they have intimated to him that they can betray him. So they cannot also just go there and say that he will take over and then forgive them and bless them and work together with them. That is why you see that the mountain has the option of looking at Raila as a savior, in the sense that they can bargain with him and have a pact with him that can give them a lifeline and let them remain relevant going forth.
But so, in terms of that, you have mentioned that Raila Odinga can be the sort of the messiah politically for central Kenya.
Right.
But then again, the division is that who will galvanize the central region to support, say, Raila Odinga?
That's the dilemma that the mountain is at right now. The person who will either deliver the entire mountain to the deputy president, or the person who will deliver that to Raila.
Will Raila contest?
I'm not sure. He has not told us yet.
Yes, Cyrus.
Thank you. Looking at the mountain Kenya, the Mount Kenya issues. I've never seen Mount Kenya having a kingpin since. Because I remember during the time of Moi, we used to have people like Matiba, we used to have Kina Kibaki there. You see, it was just that they were just there, let them get whatever they can get. That's how I can put it. That's how it was by then. The issue of kingship just came when the late Bishuki came and said to the central people that for you to step a foot in the central Kenya, the only person who can step a foot through is Uhuru Kenyatta, the son of Jomo. Well, that's the sentiment that he issued when he was now crowning Uhuru to be like the face of the people of Mount Kenya. Now, on the issue of supremacy, who can inherit the knee, we see people are coming out. People like Anne Waiguru are coming out openly. They need to, they're fronting themselves like the people who will be leading these people to a certain direction. Okay. We see people in the DP's camp. We have people like Kiunjuri, who was just registered a party, TSP, the Service People's Party. Okay. We have people like Mwangi Wairia. He's also silent, but he's also playing his own games when he said that as much as I'm going to retire from the governorship, but I'm not going to exit politics, active politics. So, and he has registered his own political party, the CRP. So these are some of the things that we need to look into. And then the Mount Kenya people have not been keen on the president when he speaks. Because I remember after the elections in 2017, the president went to Mount Kenya, opened in Nyeri and opened that market, Karatina market. The statement of the president was very clear. My shock in 2022 will shock you. He spoke out clearly, loudly. But the problem is the Mount Kenya people gave a deaf ear on this. So the president is walking the talk, as the way he said. And he has been consistent on that. He has not changed the tune. He's still on that. That's why he has not even come out to say, my word with the deputy president was this, and it still stands that way. His word that he gave out after the election in Karatina, that's the talk that the president is walking. He in Nairobi County said, Kijana kutangatanga hapa.
Yes. But coming to you, Kennedy, what's more significant here? Why do you think that the mountain is so silent? There seems to be no political volcano here, and the sort of reverse psychology politically applied by the president appears to be falling on deaf ears.
I think, you know, the president and what we call the system, they are buying time. You know, it has done to the Mount Kenya region that their political legacy and leadership is coming to an end. And they don't have a specific person or an individual who can galvanize, who can bring together the leadership of Mount Kenya region. And that's why you see the kinds of Murade saying that the president is still fit, and still young, and he can still be the prime minister. Those are some of the arrangements that, you know, they are trying to come out with. And that's why you see there's a lot of politics in Central to buy time so that they can look at how are they going to, you know, bring this political arrangement. And at the same time, that's why now they are trying to weigh whether they will support Raila, the system will support Raila, or the other side, which of course the two candidates, the Raila Odinga and Ruto, are not the favorites of the system. Recently I had Kalonzo Musyoka talking about the system and the deep state. It is a serious issue, and I believe that a time has come that the country is going to elect a leader who is neutral, a leader who is focused on you know, the economy. And that leader is not going to be Raila, that leader is not going to be Ruto. That leader is going to be Musalia Mudavadi.
Okay, and he equally so well. Miguna said when he approached him, he said, "Meaning to assist him, I can't be there." So equally, and his father being the cabinet minister, he at 28, and Moi made him to deputize Uhuru in 2002. Lusimba, yes. Let me give you the final word as we finish up on Central Kenya post 2022, the uncertainty, and why there seems to be no political path that seems to be smooth for the central part of the country.
Okay, the tribal disunity in Mount Kenya is a blessing to all of us and all Kenyans. Because now, there's this institution that has been created from time immemorial that if tribes unite, if you unite 2 or 3 tribes, then you are sure of presidency. But if this thing can can come up and there's disunity, the tribal disunity among the people, then there's unity among the people. Then now the economic or the social unity of the people.
Yes.
Then it's a blessing to all of us in that president or a president can come from either way. Because now the politicians who are, their talking point or their focal point of being elected is a tribal. You just unite your tribe, then you are elected or you are given a position. But now, when there is tribal disunity, now this politician will now have to campaign on issues, not on a tribe,
Okay.
or not focus on uniting a tribe for you to get elected.
Okay.
Now you have to campaign on issues, what is affecting Wanjiku, so that you get elected. So I prefer, let this tribal disunity be a thing of coming, or I think that it should be there for Kenya to develop or be that democratic.
Okay.
For example, if I give an example of the Luyas are not united. They say they are not united. But this disunity, the Luya people disunity, is tribal disunity, not economic disunity.
Okay.
They are united economically, they are united everything.
Okay.
But voting on tribal ground, voting on different parties because of their own affiliation or because of their development they want in that region, that's the way we want to go.
Okay.
Let us unite on development and not on tribal issues.
Okay, so some say there has been no candidate who is as charismatic as and a galvanizing factor, a gluing factor as Michael Kijana Malwa. Musalia Mudavadi was endorsed so by Kotu, Secretary General.
I always dispute those facts,
Yes.
bearing in mind
Yes.
when Wamalwa
Yes.
was there, they saw him like he's not fit enough
Yes.
to be in that position. And after he died,
Yes.
is when they started saying, oh, Wamalwa was this, Wamalwa was a uniting figure, Wamalwa was the best person. You see, this is the problem that we always have.
Okay.
And as I've always stated, what we need to work on is the Political Parties Act.
Okay.
Let it come up and let it play its role.
Okay.
And we shall have good governance and good leaders in place.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll wait for the 18th January.
Allow me to finish by wishing my party leader, Engineer Raila Amolo
Happy
Odinga,
birthday.
a very happy birthday.
Okay. There are some others who are equal.
He should retire.
Thank you, gentlemen. Kennedy, Cyrus, Fred, and Lusimba. Let me move to Linda, who is on the other end of the studio. And we have the picture of Wahome here, who seemed to be the, can I say perhaps the thorn in the flesh of the Jubilee Party in the country.
Well, she's part and parcel of the Jubilee Party. That's the most interesting bit of everything. And all the same, it was an interesting conversation right there. Almost impossible to wind it up, but then we have to call it a day all the same. And we have to be very thankful to you for keeping us company right from the word we start, from the word go up until now.
And thank you for your feedback on the Twitter handle and equally on 40920. That is the short SMS code, and 0791478. Thank you so much for joining us. She is Linda Alela. I am Ayub Abdikadir Abdi. Winnie will be here with my doctor in about an hour's time.
Thanks for
watching. Stay tuned. Good morning.
All right. Bye-bye.